What do you think you gained from growing up with that sense of family surrounding you? What was beneficial to you?
I think the fact of having family, which is so necessary for all of us, was a solidifying factor of my life. There was a sense of having someone you could depend on. There was a sense of knowing that someone was there to take care of you. There was a teaching. There was an element of knowing how to act, how to live, respecting people, being always kind to people, knowing that there was a standard of living that we should uphold because of the fact that we were people who were connected to each other. And I always felt like our family was special, and I don't know why. And I think it was because my mother and father and all of my family had a respect within the community. And so that gave us, and my cousins and I, we knew that there were some things you weren't supposed to do because you were going to get in trouble if you were. But family was very important. There was no time that I can remember that my parents turned anyone away. My mother especially was one that would go, and she and this lady, this second mother of mine,
Mrs. Green?
Mrs. Green, was always known as whenever there was anything going on, if there was trouble, you could depend on them to come and contribute and to do whatever they could do. They would be available to people who were in need. And my home was always open. That is one of the things that I can remember about my childhood. My mother and father always had an open door for people. It seems to me as if we never had a meal alone.
There was always someone.
Yeah, there was always someone, and I'm sure we did have, but she loved to cook, and I can remember that we were always sharing what we had, and especially during the Depression times. You know, in the latter, I was young, but there was a sharing of the pot. There was a coming together, and if anyone knocked on the door who needed food, you didn't say no. You didn't say no to anything. And people would, as far as my father was concerned, you could add, now my father was one that gave his all. You could ask him for anything, and if he had it, he would give it up. He had no problem sharing what he had. I can remember my mother would come home from work and she would say to him, "Clarence, where's so-and-so?" "Well, Mr. or Miss so-and-so borrowed it." And she would often say, "You're going to loan us out of house and home." But it never stopped him. It never stopped him. He would give you his last dime. Yeah, that's my mother and father. And the thing that I often say this, and I think it was a very, very strategic time for me. My mother, we would subscribe to the newspaper, so we always had the newspaper. And each day, while my mother would be cooking, she would say to me or my dad, and especially my mother, because my dad worked 2 or 3 different shifts, you know. She would say, "Vivian, get the paper and read to me." And I think, oh, God.
Not again.
Yeah, that's it. I did. I thought, wonder why that lady didn't learn how to read when she was growing up, you know. But I had to read the paper from cover to cover most of the time.
So your mother did not read?
Yes, she did, but I didn't know it.
Oh, okay.
You know, I thought, well, wonder why they didn't teach her to read. But it didn't enter into my mind until I was older that if I didn't know a word, she'd tell me to spell it, and she'd tell me what the word was. So
what she was really doing was getting you to read out loud and practice reading.
That's right. That's right.
Very clever woman.
Well, she was. Yes, she was. Everyone. I found out, too, of having a family was a great survival tactic. I would not be here today, I don't believe, if I hadn't had that family. Because that family was my motivating factor to live. And so there are times that some people want to give up. But I thank God for my children. I really and truly do thank God for my children, because He used them as a means of making me strive to live so that I could be here today. There were times I may have given up, because living in a world that we live in the American system, with all of its thou shalt nots, or you cannot break here, you cannot do this, and you cannot do that, or the things that you would like to do, you know, not available to you. Some people give up. Some people give up, and they just say it's not worth it to fight. But God placed within me as my former pastor and his wife used to say, Vivian is a survivalist. So He placed the will to survive within me. And when I had these children were the instrument that made, and now I not only want to survive for them, for the grandkids, you know. So I thank God that I had these children. It was rough and it was tough, but I'm not sure I would have been alive today if I hadn't had those children. I really don't. So I'm thankful, and I'm proud of them. With the outreach program, and this is what the open house is, the outreach program at Trinity United Methodist Church, which was developed by our pastor there and his wife. She is the third from the right side here. And he gave us a new lease in the community on life. He was sent to Muncie to help Muncie. And I was one of the persons that was sent to him to be helped. And I thank God for him, because he was, people don't realize it, but there's always someone sent by God to help you. And you best deal with that person as the Moses, as the Joshuas, as the Davids, as the Christ. He sends people into your life to bring you back to the relationship with Him. Not to be good per se, not to be religious, but to find life and find out what it's all about. And life is found in Him. So He sends a prophet through, and like Dr. King, Malcolm X, He sends John Kennedy, President Kennedy, his brother. He sent them, He permitted them, He developed them for our times. And our response to them helps to develop what we're about and our relationship to life and love. President Johnson was in the White House at the time and started a war on poverty, remember? And Reverend Williams started a war on poverty in Muncie. through the Trinity Church. And these were the people that God permitted to come around him to develop this program and to work in the community, the city, and the conference, and the state, carrying a message of freedom, of self-helps, tearing down barriers, and so forth. And so this is what the open house is. It dealt with, it was saying, here we have something available to help you become more productive and become better citizens in the city of Muncie. Mm-hmm. So this is our open house, and I was named as the education coordinator.
And you have helped many a young person from your community come to Ball State and to other colleges.
Yeah, I've been blessed there. I've helped a lot of them, and I'm still working at it, still trying to encourage children, but there's a lot needs to be done. A lot needs to be done. If we're not going to make it, our children's not going to make it. And I would deviate to this. I'm on the State Student Commission, which deals with financial aid for higher education. And I'm on a scholarship committee. And when I look at the students who apply for these scholarships and their transcripts and their curriculum, and then I look at the children coming out of my community and other communities like mine, the difference is so dramatic until it makes you cry. Because there's no comparison of the preparation done for a group of students who will be in the workforce 2000 on one side of the community, and then there's another group who will be prepared. Now, we're doing everyone an injustice. We're doing everyone an injustice. You cannot develop one set of people without developing another set of people. And we're talking about development. If you don't develop others, it was bad enough when they didn't develop my generation or the generation before me or the generation right after me. But we could do certain things. The times permitted us to do domestic work, janitor work, blah, 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 so forth. And we could live. It was difficult to raise those children under those circumstances, but I could.
You could make it.
I could make it. Mm-hmm. Now we're living in a time where people cannot make it as maids and janitors and whatnot. The times have changed. But the preparation of students is not as much as it was when I came along. That's what was made it easier for me to come to school, because I had been given a better preparation as a younger person. Mm-hmm. And then by keeping up with my own children and making sure I was able to stay in the preparation process. And so when time come for me to come to the college, God had prepared me for the time. But now you have some children sitting out here who are not being prepared for the time. And as I was saying to some young people the other day, and I don't know whether you wanted this, but I'm saying it because you know how I am, you know. As I was saying to some young people and some adults, you're really not doing no one a favor by not educating these children or seeing that they're properly educated or preparing them for the future. It's all right to prepare your children. It's fine. I love the transcripts that I'm looking at now. Mm-hmm. I'm really loving it. I love the abilities. But you're really not doing those children either justice. Because as you prepare a nucleus to be in the workforce, to be productive citizens, to be in the political arena, to be whatever. You're leaving a mass of people over here that those children are going to have to take care of.
That's right.
Now, either you prepare them to move right along with this group that's moving into the mainstream, or the mainstream children are going to have to take part of their salary to take care of these children that you're not preparing. Now, there's a lot of injustice going on here.
That's right. That's right.
And these children that you're not preparing are not all bad, and not all of them like to be in the position that they're in. But unless you help to open doors so that they can get what they need to live, you're not doing no one any big favors.
That's right. One. What do you think your purpose in life has been? Do you know?
Well, one of my purposes is for procreation. You can see that with my family. One of my purposes have been, by the grace of God, is to be a model for people. My family has been chosen to be a model and an inspiration. Not only have we graduated, we've had, I have many children and grandchildren still in school. I have grandchildren at IU, PUI, a grandson in Tennessee. I have a daughter and grandchildren on Ball State's campus. I've had some grandchildren in California who have graduated and are still going to school. And I had another grandson who graduated, and he's working on his master's here. My son's in IU. So I think that not only am I think I am chosen to represent Christ in leaderships of what can be done to your life. Even though you may have taken the wrong path, there is a God who can put you on the path that your life was supposed to be and bring you on in your latter days. So you can never give up on people. You have to always say their lives can change. My life was changed, theirs can too. So I see that I have been given the opportunity to be an inspiration and a model and a helper. I have to help people. I cannot do anything else but help people. I cannot leave this world without saying, I've got to do something to make people's lives better. And
Wow.
That's the way I feel.
That is a great ending.
Thank you.
And I appreciate so much your time with us.
It's
You
been a
are
joy.
an inspiration
Bless
and
you.
a model.